This is the Epoch Times.
Welcome to Epoch Audio, showcasing the best journalism covering news, culture, and society, addressing issues overlooked or avoided by other media. For the text version of this and more articles providing truth, tradition, and hope, please go to theepochtimes.com.
Hamas intentionally puts Palestinians at risk to turn world opinion against Israel. Report by Andrew Chun. A Toronto human rights group says that Hamas intentionally endangers Palestinians to shape global opinions against Israel and says that demonstrations in Western countries supporting the terrorist group's attack on Israel last month are part of this strategy. On November 28th, One Free World International released a report titled Anatomy of an Attack: The Truth Behind October 7th, after its president Majed Al-Shifa visited the Israeli border near Gaza, where Hamas launched an attack against civilians on October 7th. The report condemns Hamas for multiple violations of international humanitarian laws during its assault on Israel, resulting in an estimated 1,200 casualties and the abduction of over 200 civilians. Additionally, it highlighted the group's atrocities against Palestinians in Gaza. The report stated, "The vicious nature of the attack and the evidence of Hamas's use of civilians as human shields can only lead to one conclusion. Hamas is not engaging this strategy regardless of the cost to its own people, but at their intentional sacrifice. The goal is to cause Israel to react to Hamas's actions in such a way that the resulting inevitable civilian deaths would turn international opinion against Israel." The allegation follows the U.S. government's recent revelation that Hamas has been operating a command node beneath Gaza's largest hospital, Al-Shifa, which the White House labeled as a war crime. Condemning pro-Hamas rallies. The One Free World International report raised concerns about the various demonstrations that erupted across Europe and North American cities in the aftermath of Hamas's attack on October 7th. It states, "For many Israelis and Jews around the world, as well as fair-minded people everywhere, the most harrowing part of the whole attack was not the attack itself or the images of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. These were to be expected. Rather, it was the seemingly spontaneous and surprisingly extensive demonstrations in support of Hamas and its atrocities that sprung up in cities across Europe and North America within 24 to 48 hours of the attack that chilled Jewish people to the bone." In Canada, a sizable rally of pro-Palestinian protesters took to the streets in Toronto, causing traffic disruptions 2 days after the Hamas attack. More pro-Palestinian rallies followed in various cities across Canada, including a group that disrupted the Saskatchewan legislature on November 20th. This was compounded by multiple attacks and threats targeting Jewish communities in Canada. Incidents include the firebombing of a synagogue and a Jewish community center on November 7th. Subsequently, 2 Jewish schools in Montreal were hit by gunshots on November 9th. While on November 17th, a Toronto private Jewish high school and a nearby daycare were evacuated following a reported bomb threat. Fortunately, these incidents did not result in injuries. One Free World International said pro-Hamas demonstrations in the West should not be considered a side issue and need to be addressed seriously. Quote, "They're not a glitch or some random occurrence, a spontaneous outpouring of support for oppressed Palestinians. They're an integral, intentional part of the terrorist strategy, which is not about control over land or Palestinian people's rights, but about delegitimizing and destroying the state of Israel and inciting anti-Semitism and violence against Jews around the world." Support from authoritarian states. Mr. Al-Shifa, who traveled to Kibbutz Be'eri, one of the communities near the Gaza Strip that came under attack, stated that his team uncovered additional evidence indicating support provided to Hamas by other authoritarian regimes and entities. In particular, he pointed to Iran, China, and the terrorist group ISIS. He told the Epoch Times sister company NTD Television, "We found more information about how Hamas did not act alone. They acted with the help and the support of the Iranians. They had help and support of many of the other terrorist groups in Gaza." One Free World International's report alleges Hamas had been planning and preparing the attack for at least 2 years, with its forces receiving training and guidance from ISIS in the Sinai province. It also alleges that Hamas coordinated with Hezbollah and the Houthis, Iran's proxies in Lebanon and Yemen, respectively. The report says the ISIS connection helps explain the viciousness of the October 7th attack and how Hamas was able, within less than 24 hours, to commit virtually every war crime and crime against humanity imaginable. Mr. Al-Shifa further pointed to China's involvement, stating that the communist regime has been a major supporter of almost every dictatorship and every dark force on the planet. One Free World International is set to release its findings from the group's mission to the Gaza area in a forthcoming documentary titled Dying to Live. Thanks for listening to Epoch Audio. This was Hamas intentionally puts Palestinians at risk to turn world opinion against Israel. Report. Written by Andrew Chen and read for you by Chris Rod.
For more Epoch Times articles in text, please visit theepochtimes.com.
This is the Epoch Times.